You watch Arsenal every week. What about we focus more on United? I'm watching them. Sit and watch a game. Sit and watch a game with them. We watched them at Leicester. We watched them in the FA Cup a few weeks ago. I watched them at Everton on Saturday. People pretend to be closing people down.
Bruno, and I said,
talent is not enough, Friday. Talent is not enough.
What's he
you
won?
talk to me.
Now he's won something.
You in the
now he's
dressing room.
going somewhere.
Tony Adams was this. Tony Adams was that. Because he was a fighter. Bruno's not a fighter.
Pass the goal.
What's he saving?
He's the one
What's he saving? 2-2 at Everton. What's he saving?
If Bruno's not there, United are in the relegation place.
Right.
The one who's...
You said there every few weeks. You said Tony Adams was amazing. He'd be when I was with England.
I'm used to.
Yeah. Of course. That's what the captain we expect.
Yeah, but you haven't got that.
Tony Adams was Tony Adams the most talented player in the Arsenal dressing room?
No. Welcome back to my channel. I'm the Big D, and this is at the Big D _, and we'll get back to Roy Keane in just a quick second. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to revisit this epic rant that Roy did a couple of months back, especially in the hindsight of Bruno Fernandes single-handedly carrying Manchester United to the Europa League final. And I wanted to see if my mind had changed a little bit, and I wanted to see if Roy Keane's point still stood. And I just wanted to kind of explore this, as I say, with the benefit of hindsight. But anyway, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And as ever, if something is on your mind, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, please express it in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments and he is always interested in what is on your mind. And I especially want to hear what you think, and I want to know if you've changed your mind about Roy, about Bruno, and about this whole situation that Roy Keane is viciously ranting about. Anyway, here's Roy.
Fucking bizarre. Not even the fans. The level of I see fans at matches and they're singing for Bruno. I say, these boys, I think you're fucking imposters.
No, bro, not Bruno.
Friday.
No. If you're going to dig someone out,
I've had enough of that rubbish, man.
Come on, Roy.
You watch Arsenal every week. What about we focus more on United? I'm watching them. Sit and watch a game. Sit and watch a game with them. We watched them at Leicester. We watched them in the FA Cup a few weeks ago. I watched them at Everton on Saturday. People pretend to be closing people down.
But who brought them back into the game? Who's bringing you guys back into the game? You can't. It's not Bruno, Roy. When we're talking about somebody who can actually do something to save you lot, it's Bruno who's doing it.
15th in the league, and he's saving them. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, you should say, if he wasn't there, where you'd be.
But you have to have a starting point. I'll go back to it all. Talent is not enough. You keep going back to the talent. The talent. Bruno's a talented player, but talent's not enough.
When I used to talk about Bruno, and I said,
talent is not enough, Friday.
Talent is not enough. What's he won?
Talk to me.
Now he's won something.
You in the dressing room. Tony Adams was this. Tony Adams was that. Because he was a fighter. Bruno's not a fighter. You've got young players. You have to look at somebody and go, I like what he does. No, they all can't put the ball in the top of the net from 25 yards. I get that. But you want someone's going, lads, are you with me? Are you with me?
Maybe he's not that captain, right? Maybe he's not that. I'm with you.
He's
but
not.
What he's doing in respect of saving you, playing that pass, the goal.
What's he saving?
He's the one
that
brings.
What's he saving? 2-2 at Everton. What's he saving?
If Bruno's not there, United are in the relegation place. If Bruno's not there,
what's he saving them?
Get back to Keane in just a quick second. I agree with Ian Wright on this particular point. If Bruno Fernandes is not at Manchester United, Man United are getting relegated. And I can't help but think that with Roy Keane, he's looking at Bruno Fernandes and he's expecting Bruno Fernandes to do the job that Roy Keane used to do, closing people down, fighting for every ball, and all of that kind of stuff. But that's not Bruno's game. Expecting Bruno Fernandes to, close people down and all of that good stuff is like expecting Eric Cantona to do the same thing. Did Roy Keane honestly think Eric Cantona was going to close people down and be that kind of captain? No. Eric Cantona was a game changer for Manchester United. He created and he scored goals. That was his 2 jobs that he did at United. That was it. But that's all he needed to do because he was the match winner. And that's what Bruno Fernandes does at Manchester United. He creates and he scores. That's it. Expecting Bruno Fernandes to be closing people down all of the time is just not in his... It's just not what he does. So I think it's unfair for Roy Keane to sort of compare Bruno Fernandes to, say, a captain like him or a captain like Tony Adams. But anyway, let's get back to Keane.
What's he saving?
At the moment...
We saw him at Leicester a few weeks ago. We saw him in Leicester. He didn't get kicked.
You're trying to isolate that particular game. Bruno, on a regular basis, saves that club in games.
Saves him. We're at it in the league. Come on, man. We're at it in the league.
I think he's...
Where would they be if they didn't have Bruno?
All right.
Am I right or wrong?
A place above it.
I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he's a good captain, because I see goals go in and I see him shouting at
He's got more talent than I could even dream of.
I wouldn't want
not
my
enough to play for a big club. If you think talent's enough to play for a big club...
It's not all on Bruno.
No, not all on Bruno.
Where do you start? All right, where do you start? If we start on a young lad, you can't pick on him.
No, I'm not saying starting a young lad.
You can't start on a foreign player. He's new to the league. Maguire the other day couldn't even jump. Who do you pin on Man United? If you're on about the players who walk on the pitch, forget the board and all that for a second. The players who walk on the pitch. So who do you start going? Who do you start pointing fingers? At some stage, you have to go. You got to start. Players have to look at themselves. Look at the person in the mirror. So who would you start with at Man United for starters? If you go, listen, you're 15th, 16th in the league. You're getting a 2-2 draw at Everton. You think, you're saving the day. They never kicked the ball for the first 60, 70 minutes.
I know you're saying who am I starting with. I know I'm not starting with Bruno, if anything. I'm not starting.
We'll get back to Keane in just a quick sec. But yeah, I mean, criticising Bruno Fernandes is like, in this particular Man United team, it's like cutting your nose off to spite your face. It's not Bruno's fault. Bruno can't do everything all on his own. So Ian Wright is absolutely bang on. It's very, very rare the Big D agrees with Ian Wright, but he is absolutely hitting the nail on the head. Or should I say, his shooting accuracy on this particular issue is as good as it was when he was playing. But anyway, yeah, Bruno Fernandes is doing everything he possibly can. If Bruno Fernandes is on form, Man United win games. But Bruno Fernandes can't do it all on his own. He needs help. And that's why Man United's main priority this summer is signing number 9. Because he needs someone to pass to, he needs someone to take the goal burden off him, and if he has a bad game, he needs someone to pick up the slack, and vice versa. In fact, he needs another number 10 alongside him to help him with the creative duties as well. So I don't understand, like, Roy Keane's point here. Where do you start? Where do you start? You start by looking at the bigger picture, Roy.
Of course you're not. Who are you starting with then?
I don't know. Just because he's the captain, he might be petulant, whatever you think, but he's the one who's...
You said every few weeks, you said, Tony Adams was amazing. He'd be... When I was with England...
I'm used to.
Yeah, of course. That's what the captain we expect.
Yeah, but you haven't got that.
Tony Adams was Tony Adams the most talented player in the Arsenal dressing room?
No.
So why do you look up to Tony Adams and go, listen, I have a lot of time for him?
He's an amazing leader.
And what did he do in his leadership? Leadership is an action.
Led us.
Yeah,
in led us to the championship and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
What's leadership to you about? Leadership to me is about action.
Yeah.
Right.
Bruno does action. Maybe you don't like his petulance, but
no, I don't. Things. I just think if I had a captain, I wouldn't want him want to go blaming and what. That's what I say. I don't think it's
around him. He needs more players around him.
It's not about blaming. It's about people taking responsibility.
He needs more quality around him.
We'll get back to Keane in just a quick second, but he makes a point there. Like, it's about taking responsibility. Correct, it is about taking responsibility, absolutely. Bruno Fernandes has got more goals and the most assists at Man United. He is taking responsibility. What is Roy Keane watching? He was taking responsibility before this little rant, and he's been taking even more responsibility since this rant. And in terms of the petulance, he's from Portugal. He's very expressive, and he's all of this, and he's blah, 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 blah. That's what he's like. And also, in terms of, Tony Adams and Roy as well, these are British players. Different culture. They express themselves in different ways. And I would even argue there's not that many people like Tony Adams and Roy Keane in the game today. Certainly not in England. But yeah, being very, very unfair on Bruno Fernandes.
Quality around him. Bruno would be better.
Responsibility.
I'm not having Bruno getting dipped.
Of course you're not. Well, who then? I've asked you a question. Who would you start going, he's got to do more? I'm not about a player taking responsibility. When they go out on that pitch, listen, show some courage. Want the ball. When you close somebody down, close them down properly. We asked you earlier, could you play off the front? No, I have to be at people. I have to be on the shoulder, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but that's my game, right?
Yeah, that's your game, yeah. And people appreciated you for your work rate, blah, blah, blah.
And I worked really hard.
Yeah, but this thing, Liverpool, you get rewards from all this talent. You walk your socks off. I'm just United team. Let me tell you something. When you close somebody down, when I call a bluffer, this is what I call a bluffer. So you're there, and I'm closing you, but I'm not really closing you down. So, and then you pass it. I've done my bit. Excuse my language.
I've never really wanted to see Ben as much in my life.
Yeah, okay, so where do you start with this current situation at Man United? That's a very good question that's brought up in this. And I think Roy Keane's, he's off point. And I think this goes to what I've always said about certain players when they can't make it as a manager themselves, because all they can see is their own point of view. Sometimes they don't look at the bigger picture, and that's where you start with this current Manchester United team. You start with the bigger picture. And the situation is, this team has had 3 managers in the past 12 months. 3. Eric Ten Hag, Tim Pop Ten Hag, Ruud van Nistelrooy and Ruben Amorim. Now, Ruben Amorim's system and style of play is completely different to the other guys. And he's been absolutely hard-nosed and ruthless with his standards, getting rid of Marcus Rashford, for instance, not putting up with any nonsense from him. And he has since gotten the best out of Casemiro as well. He's been phenomenal for the past few weeks. And he's got the team to a Europa League final. So that's the context at the moment. So it's going to take time for this team to get used to Ruben Amorim's style of play. And they just didn't get used to the style of play quick enough to be able to transform that knowledge into league wins. And it gets to a point where when you've got nothing to play for in a competition, then it takes away that extra couple of percent. And when the other teams have got that extra couple of percent, it's just a little bit more difficult to sort of, to win games, especially at the highest level in sport. Now, with regards to the Europa League, they've proved they can do it. And I've said before, this team has actually turned a corner, as proven by how well they've played in Europe. We are still the only undefeated team in European football as it stands. Hopefully, we can win that final game and remain undefeated. But again, the bigger picture has been, we've gotten rid of players that might have helped and scored some goals, but it's almost like going through the hard part now by setting standards, getting rid of people who are not interested in sort of rising to these standards, getting the team used to this new system, and looking at the bigger picture and suffering now so that next season, Manchester United hit the ground running. And that's the bigger picture. And that's what I feel as though Roy is missing out on. So, and even his criticism of Bruno Fernandes is off point. Because if he's just talking about effort, out of all of those players, Bruno Fernandes is the only one that has been consistently good all season. Well, I say that with the exception of 1-2 others. I think Matthijs de Ligt has been very good as well. And I think Ugate's come on. And I think Mazraoui's been consistent and whatnot. But we just haven't had the teeth up front to help Bruno. All of the other attackers have been crap. Let's say that. Defensively, we haven't been too bad, but we just can't score goals. And if you can't score goals, you can't win matches. So when Bruno Fernandes is not scoring goals, because, he's allowed to have the odd bad game, then if he hasn't got any help, then the team's going to suffer. So I think Roy Keane is letting his heart overrule his head in this instance. So looking back on this, I don't think it's aged well for Roy. I haven't changed my mind about what he said, and it's not quite time to judge Amorim yet. I think Amorim will be judged come about October. If things haven't dramatically improved in the league, which is the bread and butter of Manchester United, by about October time, like dramatically, where we're not hovering around fourth, top 4, then that's when serious questions will need to be asked about Ruben Amorim. But again, United are almost betting the house on Ruben Amorim because we're going to be signing a lot of players that he wants in the summer. And if he doesn't kick on next season and we sack him, then we're going to have to start the whole process over again with a new manager and a new system. So, it looks like Ineos are betting the house on Ruben Amorim. But we'll soon see. But what do you guys think? Do you think Roy Keane's little rant has aged well? Do you think Ruben Amorim is the man for Manchester United? And, well, Oh, where are Manchester United going to be next season around October time if Ruben Amorim hasn't dramatically improved? But anyway, thoughts in the comments, and the Big D will see you in the next one.